There are stars that burn, and there are stars that watch. If you look to the southern sky, in the constellation Piscis Austrinus, you will see a solitary point of light in a sea of darkness. Ancient Arabic astronomers called it Fomalhaut, the mouth of the whale. Today, we call it Fomalhaut. For centuries, it was just a navigation marker for sailors. A lonely beacon in a dark patch of the sky. But in 2004, the Hubble Space Telescope turned its lens toward this star, and the image it sent back froze the blood of the astronomical community. Fomalhaut wasn't just a star. It was surrounded by a massive, perfect ring of debris 25 billion miles wide. In the center, the star glared out like a dilated pupil. The internet immediately gave it a new name, the Eye of Sauron. But the true horror of Fomalhaut isn't the ring. It is what was hiding inside it. In 2008, NASA announced they had found a planet orbiting in the darkness of that ring. They named it Fomalhaut b. It was the first planet ever photographed in visible light. It was historic. It was proof that we could see other worlds. But then, something impossible happened. The planet didn't just move. It faded. By 2014, it had vanished completely. We now know that Fomalhaut b was never a planet. It was a grave. And the story of what actually happened in that system reveals a violence so extreme that it makes our own solar system look like a sanctuary. But the story doesn't end with one dead planet. On December 18, 2025, NASA confirmed that the graveyard is getting bigger. Welcome to the Fomalhaut System. Welcome to the demolition zone. 210, Chapter 1. The Lonely Eye. To understand why Fomalhaut terrifies astronomers, we first have to understand the sheer scale of what we are looking at. Fomalhaut is located 25 light-years from Earth. In cosmic terms, it is our next-door neighbor. It is a young, hot, A-type star, burning 15 times brighter than our own Sunday. It is burning through its fuel at such a furious rate that it will be dead in a billion years. But the star itself is not the anomaly. The anomaly is the debris field. When our solar system formed 4.5 billion years ago, it was a messy disk of dust and gas. Over time, gravity cleaned it up. Planets formed, vacuuming up the dust, leaving the clean, empty vacuum we see today. Fomalhaut is 440 million years old. By all current models of stellar evolution, it should have finished cleaning its room. It should be a stable, mature system. But it isn't. Hubble images reveal a chaotic, dusty nightmare. The debris ring surrounding Fomalhaut is not just a thin belt, it is a toroidal storm of ice and rock. It extends 14 billion miles from the star. If you were standing on a planet inside that system, the night sky wouldn't be black. It would be glowing with a band of dust brighter than the Milky Way, constantly flashing with the light of colliding asteroids. The ring is also strange geometrically. It is off-center. The geometric center of the debris disk is offset by 1.4 billion miles from the star itself. In orbital mechanics, this usually means one thing. Something massive and invisible is hiding in the dark, pushing the ring out of shape. Astronomers call these shepherd planets. They are the wolves of the solar system, herding asteroids with their gravity. So, in the early 2000s, the hunt began. NASA wanted to find the shepherd. They pointed the high-resolution channel of Hubble's advanced camera for surveys directly at the debris ring. They expected to find a gas giant like Jupiter. What they found was a ghost. November 13, 2008. This is a date that should have gone down in history as a triumph. NASA held a press conference to release an image that had been 4 years in the making. Paul Cullis of the University of California, Berkeley, and his team showed the world a tiny, bright dot moving along the inner edge of Fomalhaut's debris ring. This was Fomalhaut b. For the first time in human history, we weren't looking at a graph, or a dip in light curves, or a wobble in a star's gravity. We were looking at a photograph of an alien world. The data suggested it was a massive planet, likely 3 times the mass of Jupiter. It was located about 10 billion miles from its star, 10 times further out than Saturn is from our sun. The public voted to name it Dagon, after the ancient Semitic deity of the deep ocean. A fitting name for a world drowning in a sea of dust. But almost immediately, the data started to look wrong. If Fomalhaut b was a gas giant like Jupiter, It should have been glowing with heat in the infrared spectrum. Massive planets retain heat from their formation. But when astronomers looked at Dagon with the Spitzer Space Telescope, it was completely invisible in infrared. It was cold, dead cold. Yet in visible light, the light our eyes can see, it was unusually bright. This defied the laws of physics. A planet shouldn't be bright in visible light but invisible in heat. It's like seeing a light bulb that is turned off but still glowing. Astronomers tried to save the theory. They suggested Dagon was surrounded by a massive planetary ring system, like a super Saturn, which was reflecting starlight. Others suggested it was a zombie planet, appearing and disappearing due to dust clouds. But the truth was much darker. Dagon wasn't baffling scientists because it was a strange planet. It was baffling them because it wasn't a planet at all. The death of Dagon was slow and public. Between 2004 and 2014, Hubble kept watching. And year by year, the impossible happened. The planet didn't just move along its orbit. It started to expand. In 2004, it was a tight point of light. By 2012, it was fuzzy. By 2014, it had faded into nothingness. Planets do not fade. Planets do not expand. In 2020, a team from the University of Arizona published the obituary for Fomalhaut B. They analyzed the archival data and came to a terrifying conclusion. We had not been watching a planet orbit a star. We had been watching the aftermath of a cosmic murder. The current accepted theory is that shortly before Hubble looked at the system in 2004, two massive icy bodies, planetesimals about 200 kilometers wide, slammed into each other at supersonic speeds. Imagine two asteroids the size of small countries colliding at 22,000 miles per hour. The energy release would have been catastrophic. The planet we saw was actually a titanic cloud of expanding dust, illuminated by the starlight. It looked like a solid object because it was so dense. But as the years passed, the cloud expanded, the dust thinned out, and the planet dissolved into the background of space. We didn't discover a new world. We discovered a debris field where a world used to be. The eye of Sauron had blinked, and in that split second, two massive bodies were pulverized into dust. For years, the collision theory was just a hypothesis. Skeptics argued that the chances of Hubble pointing at the exact spot of a collision at the exact right time were astronomically low. They said we couldn't be that lucky. But on December 18, 2025, NASA dropped a bombshell that settled the debate forever. They released a new analysis of Hubble images taken in late 2023. They weren't just looking for the old Fomalhaut B. They were looking for anything new. And they found it. In the 2004 images, the original zombie planet, now technically renamed CS1, Circumstellar Source 1, was clearly visible. But in the new images, CS1 was gone. It had dissipated into the void. However, just a short distance away, a new point of light had appeared. NASA designated it CS2. This wasn't the old planet moving. This was a second collision. Sometime between 2014 and 2023, two more massive asteroids, likely 40 miles wide, slammed into each other, creating a fresh cloud of expanding dust. The December 2025 report confirms what we feared. The Fomalhaut system is a shooting gallery. We didn't just get lucky seeing one crash in 2004. We are watching a system where worlds destroy each other on a loop. According to Dr. Paul Cullis, who led the study, if we could speed up time, the Fomalhaut ring wouldn't look like a static picture. It would look like a fireworks display, flashing constantly with the light of dying worlds. Before we accept that Fomalhaut B was just dust, we have to look at the alternative theory. Because it is even more disturbing. For years, a faction of astrophysicists argued that Fomalhaut B was a real planet, but one that had suffered a catastrophic injury. They called it the runaway core theory. In this scenario, Fomalhaut B was once a gas giant, likely larger than Saturn. It had a thick, swirling atmosphere of hydrogen and helium. But in the violent chaos of the Fomalhaut system, it got too close to the star, or perhaps it was pushed by one of the other invisible giants hiding in the dark. The encounter stripped away its atmosphere. The solar wind flayed the planet alive, blowing away its gas and leaving behind only the solid, rocky core. The fading we saw wasn't the planet disappearing. It was the planet cooling down after being skinned. The expanding cloud wasn't debris. It was the final puff of its atmosphere drifting into the void. While the collision theory is now the accepted answer for CS1 and CS2, the runaway core theory remains a terrifying possibility for other objects in the system. If you look at the sheer amount of debris, it is statistically probable that there are dozens of these dead cores floating in the ring, planetary corpses that have been stripped down to the bone, drifting in the dark, waiting to smash into something else. While Hubble watches the flashes of light, another telescope has been listening to the sound of the crash. The ALMA Observatory in Chile, a massive array of radio telescopes, looked at Fomalhaut in millimeter wavelengths. Unlike Hubble, which sees light, ALMA sees cold dust. It sees the skeleton of the system. ALMA's data revealed something called apocenter glow. In an elliptical orbit, objects move fast when they are close to the star and slow when they are far away. Fomalhaut's ring is an ellipse. This means that at the apocenter, the farthest point of the ring, the debris is moving slowly. It creates a cosmic traffic jam. The dust piles up at the far end of the ring, creating a glowing, dense arc of material. ALMA detected vast stores of carbon monoxide gas in this region, the same gas released when comets are destroyed. This confirms that the ring isn't just dusty. It is a grinder. The cometary Armageddon model suggests that to keep the ring this bright, the system requires the equivalent of 2 1-kilometer-wide comets colliding every single day. Just think about that. In our solar system, a 10-kilometer asteroid hitting Earth is an extinction-level event that killed the dinosaurs. In the Fomalhaut system, collisions of that magnitude are a daily routine. We know the ring is violent, but in September 2025, the ALMA Observatory revealed that the ring is also twisted. In a paper published just months ago, astronomers found a negative eccentricity gradient in the debris disk. This is a complex term for a simple, terrifying fact. The ring is being warped physically. Usually, a ring of dust gets more circular the further out you go. But at Fomalhaut, the opposite is happening. The ring gets more stretched and oval-shaped the further away it gets from the star. This shouldn't happen naturally. Dust doesn't stretch itself. The only thing that can cause this specific type of warping is a massive, eccentric planet orbiting inside the ring. A planet we still haven't seen. The math tells us exactly what this planet looks like. To warp the ring this badly, the planet must be between the mass of Neptune and Saturn. It must be on a highly elliptical orbit, swinging wildly in and out of the habitable zone. Think about what that means. We are looking for a shepherd planet. But a shepherd protects the flock. This planet is a wolf. It is swinging through the system like a wrecking ball, its gravity kicking asteroids out of their orbits and flinging them into the path of other worlds. This ghost planet is likely the serial killer responsible for the collisions we saw in 2004 and 2023. It herds the asteroids into a dense pile and then smash. But why is this system so violent? Why hasn't it settled down like ours? The answer might be hiding in the darkness, 2.5 light-years away. For a long time, we thought Fomalhaut was a binary system with a small companion star called TW Piscis Austrini. But in 2013, astronomers realized there was a third star involved. They called it Fomalhaut C. Fomalhaut C is a red dwarf, a small, dim, dying star. It is incredibly far from the main star, yet it is gravitationally bound to it. And here is the scary part. Fomalhaut C also has a debris disk. This is extremely rare. Red dwarfs shouldn't have massive debris disks. The leading theory is that Fomalhaut C is the disturber. Its gravity, along with the other stars in the system, might be creating a Kozai mechanism. This is a gravitational resonance that twists the orbits of comets and planets, flinging them inward toward the main star. It's not just a messy system. It's a blender. The 3 stars are pulling and pushing the debris fields, ensuring that nothing can ever settle down. Any planet trying to form in the system is being pelted by rocks from 3 different directions. In May 2023, The James Webb Space Telescope turned its infrared eye to Fomalhaut to see if it could find any safe havens in this chaos. It failed. Webb found that the system is even more complex than we thought. It doesn't just have one ring. It has three. It is a nested series of slaughter zones. First, there is an inner asteroid belt, similar to our own but much more massive. Then, there is a second, intermediate belt that sits tilted at a 23-degree angle. And finally, the massive outer ring where the collisions are happening. The gaps between these rings are resonance gaps. They are the footprints of invisible planets. The JWST data implies that there are real planets orbiting in those dark gaps, shepherding the dust. But unlike the stable orbits of Earth or Jupiter, these planets are living in a war zone. They are likely being bombarded constantly. Webb even found a background galaxy glowing through the ring that looked suspiciously like a dust cloud, tricking astronomers yet again. The system is so full of debris that we can barely see the universe behind it. Before we leave Fomalhaut, I want you to imagine standing there. Let's assume there is a rocky planet somewhere in the safe zone, a Fomalhaut D hiding in the gap between the rings. If you stood on the surface of that world at night, you wouldn't see the peaceful, static stars we see from Earth. You would see a band of diamond dust stretching across the entire sky, the debris ring illuminated by the star. It would be bright enough to cast shadows on the ground, but it wouldn't be still. Every few hours, you would see a flash of light in the ring, another asteroid collision, another mountain-sized rock vaporized. And then the meteors would start. Because the system is so full of dust, the meteor showers on this planet would never end. The sky would be constantly streaked with fire. The cometary Armageddon means that the atmosphere would be constantly bombarded by dust and ice. It would be beautiful, and it would be deadly. Any civilization trying to evolve on that world would be living under a permanent artillery barrage. They would look up at the sky not with wonder, but with fear. Dr. Paul Cullis said it best. If we could speed up time, the Fomalhaut system wouldn't look like a ring. It would look like a fireworks display. But these aren't fireworks. They are worlds dying. And we are the only ones watching. Why does this matter to us? Why should we care about a dust cloud 25 light-years away? Because Fomalhaut is a mirror. When we look at that eye in the sky, we are looking at our own past. We are seeing the violence required to create a habitable world. We are seeing the trillions of collisions, the shattered moons, and the pulverized planets that had to die so that a calm, stable system like ours could emerge. Fomalhaut shows us the default state of the universe: destruction. The Eye of Sauron nickname is more fitting than we realized. It is a realm of fire and dust, where gravity is a weapon and planets are fleeting, temporary things. The zombie planet, Dagon, rose from the dead only to show us that in space, nothing is permanent. Not even a planet. This was Stellar Stark. If you want to survive the silence of the universe, make sure you are subscribed. We investigate the data NASA is afraid to talk about.